Welcome to the Blue Line here on WHVL. Penn State's men's hockey team was on the road for their final series away from Pagula this regular season. Mike Tressa, Andrew Kalista recapping that series with Minnesota, and the Golden Gophers had a week off to prepare for the Lions, so you know they were ready.
Yeah, but Penn State came in riding high. They got the split out in Yost. They actually had a point in 3 straight series. It was important for them to get a fast start out at Mariucci because the Gophers did have to work off some of that rust early on.
And they would have to do that on the big Olympic ice out at Mariucci against the number 2 team in the country. Matt Scoff and the Lions were not phased, looking to get off to a fast start. 2 minutes in, Justin Hall called for interference for his hit on Curtis Loik. Lions power play and some great puck movement finally. The Eric Scheid spin move finds David Goodwin. His pass to Zach Sarno with a rebound to Kenny Brooks, and he scores. Beats Adam Wilcox, the new defenseman, showing his offensive roots. 1-0 as the Lions get sloppy. David Thompson turns it over. Mike Riley to points leader Sam Warning buries the tying goal. Look again, Warning goes high glove side for his 12th. 4 minutes later, look at the scramble, all blue in front in the crease. Lions helping out Scoff. Travis Boyd brings it back around. He's denied by Mark Giannis and Scoff, but in the same sequence coming up, Scoff without his stick, and Boyd finds Marshall, who puts it on net for Hudson Fashing. Persistence pays off. Fashing knocks it in for the lead. Still in the first, it's Fashing again, beating Connor Varley up ice, racing down in a beautiful lead for Kyle Rao. Slides in it past Scoff. 3-1 lead to end the first period, early second. Gophers power play. What a pass from Travis Boyd to Taylor Camerata. Crushes the slap shot in the open net. Look again, the ice spacing. 4-1 game. Penn State couldn't capitalize on their power plays at all. Saar no good here. Godowski not pleased. This penalty by Ben Marshall for interference. And on the next faceoff, coming up, Nate Condon takes it all the way himself. Beats Brooks on the boards, and he's gone all the way in for the shorthanded goal. 5-1 lead. Minnie's first shorty of the season. Penn State was 0 for 4 on the power plays in the second. Score held up, and Minnesota grabbed the 5-1 win.
Disappointing showing for the Lions in Game 1. Mariucci, always a tough place to play once that snowball gets rolling. The Lions looking for some momentum. They go to a goalie switch in Game 2. PJ Musico was making his first start in 370 days. Rough start. One thing you can't do is turn the puck over against the Gophers. Great moves by Boyd as he skates through and puts his own rebound over Musico. 1-0 Gophers in the first. In the second now, Lions looking for the equalizer. Great pass by Connor Varley off the boards to Loik. He picks a spot and shoots. That's what he does. Beats Shabrowski. Glove side, all square at 1. Huge goal for the Lions. Confidence. Third period, Gophers smell blood. Boyd carries in, puts it on net low, and Tom Sarator, perfect shot, beats Musico in the corner, and that's your game winner as the Gophers go on to win 2-1 for the weekend sweep. Musico, great effort, 35 saves in the loss, but the home fans go home happy from Mariucci.
Take a look at the stats from the weekend. Penn State outscored and outshot. A lot of that due to Game 1, but the rest pretty similar. In the second, the Lion penalty kill did a good job, and the Lions held their own at the dot. Penn State just not able to get enough scoring chances or able to take advantage of any Gopher penalties. So the Lions looked good again in a Game 2 effort, bouncing back, but Coach really couldn't be pleased with the effort, especially on the power play in Game 1.
Yeah, Coach Godowski was disappointed with that. I felt he was disappointed overall with Friday's performance by the team, and he actually talked about that this week in Sounding Off, presented by Ace Hardware of State College.
You mentioned, I don't know who mentioned Hildebrandt and Rumpel and Wilcox. I mean, we're facing some of the best goaltenders in the NCAA, night in, night out. And your goaltender is your most important penalty killer, and we're facing the best in the nation. So it might not necessarily be that obviously the personnel hurts a little bit, but also we're facing tremendous competition. That's definitely a factor.
And a surprise good from the week, backup goalie PJ Musico getting the start in Game 2, his first start of the season against the number 2 team in the country, now number 1, and he stepped up, making 35 saves and only allowing 2 goals, most of all keeping the Nittany Lions within striking distance for the win. Really great to see the junior stepping up in a big way, especially after not playing for all the season, getting his first start, and he's a lead-in to the good from the series, which was the Nittany Lions play in Game 2.
Yeah, they really bounced back in Game 2, and they actually took the action to the Gophers. They played with fire, they challenged everything, and it looked like they were a different team the second night, which was great to see after giving up those 5 straight goals the night before. Early on in Game 2, it looked more of the same as they gave up the early goal, but they were able to answer the call, only committed 3 penalties in the game. Loik capitalize on his opportunity, which is something the Lions haven't done a lot of this year. This game was up in the air until the final minutes, which is good to see against the type of caliber team the Gophers are.
The Lions unable to pick up a point in either of the games this series, and we touched on it earlier. There was one real key issue in Game 1, which was really the bad issue from the weekend, and it needs to be corrected moving forward.
Yeah, they got off to the great start. You get an early power play on the road, you have to take advantage of that opportunity, and the Lions did that with Kenny Brooks crashing the net, putting the goal home. As the game went on, it just seemed like they were very disoriented on the power play. 4 chances on the advantage in the second period. A goal might have changed the game. It would have made it 4-2 at one point. At times, it seemed like Minnesota was on the power play, and the Lions were back on their heels, even with the man advantage. That was the backbreaker when they gave up that shorthanded goal right off the start of that one power play. The unit is just not clicking right now. And Don Lucia even said that his Gophers were lucky to get away with a win, giving up that many opportunities.
Well, Penn State will look to improve on their special teams in the next series moving forward. Penn State hosts the Wisconsin Badgers, and we'll preview that series when the Blue Line returns.
And it went in. As they get it to Czar, and it trickled into the cage.
For us, we just need to focus on what we do, worry about ourselves first, do our objectives, and if we do those things, that's when we've had the most success.
Welcome back to the Blue Line. Wisconsin coming into Pagula this weekend for the series. Badgers are currently in second place in the Big Ten and playing some great hockey. They were actually the first conference team that Penn State faced this season in Big Ten play, but that was all the way back in December.
Yeah, it's even tough to remember Penn State going out to the Kohl Center and playing. But if you do remember, Game 1 was not pretty. Lions got dominated in Game 1, 7-1. They did bounce back 5-4 in Game 2, and in fact, Penn State had a good opportunity to win that game, really outskated the Badgers for much of the second and third periods. They just couldn't capitalize on their opportunities to get the big road win.
And now Wisconsin's playing some of their best hockey. They've moved all the way up to 5th in the country. A really great effort they're putting forward in Big Ten play so far. It's just more highly ranked teams on Penn State's schedule, and right now we'll take a look at how Wisconsin and Penn State compare on the J. Magi Mitsubishi matchup.
Wisconsin, 3rd most goals in the conference behind Minnesota and Ohio State. Penalties are high for both teams, but the big key from all of this, Wisconsin by far the best penalty killing team in the Big Ten Conference, and Penn State just struggled last weekend on the power play. That's got to be in the back of not only the players' minds, but the coaches' minds as well. Penn State has to rectify that problem going forward.
And the last time these teams met was out in Madison. Wisconsin jumped all over Penn State in Game 1, a 7-1 win. Tommy Olczyk had the only goal for Penn State. Matt Scoff made 33 saves, and 7 different Badgers lit the lamp for Wisconsin. Game 2 was much closer. Zach Sar tied things up in the 3rd, only for the Badgers to get the game winner shortly after. Head coach Guy Gadowski is ready to welcome Wisconsin to their home and knows that his team is playing much better hockey as well.
We feel we're a much better team, and we want to see if that's going to show. I'm sure they've improved in areas as well, but we feel we have improved a lot in a number of areas, and I think the guys are hungry to prove that.
They're obviously a good team, and last time we played them, it didn't really go in our favor as much as we would have liked, obviously. But I think we're a completely different team, and I'm really excited to have them in here and show them what we, have accomplished as a team. And I think going in this weekend, we're prepared, and I think it's going to be a good game.
Wisconsin will be making their first trip to Hockey Valley, and when we did our little season recap preview back a couple weeks, we talked about how the big issue with this series would be penalties, and it's proven true. Penn State's overtaken Wisconsin, but these two teams are 1 and 2 in penalties, so that's going to be a factor, of course, in this series. But since Wisconsin's been playing a lot better, another factor has emerged in what Penn State's going to need to do to work on to have a chance to get a point in the series.
Yeah, well, they got to stay out of the sin bin. You can't go there, especially with the way Michael Mersch is playing for the Badgers. He leads the Big Ten in goals with 19. He's crushing it on the man advantage, 8 power play goals. These are Ryan Dzingel type numbers from Ohio State, and he's probably the best skater in the Big Ten Conference and a Hobey Baker Award candidate. Mersch scored 3 times last weekend against the Spartans, and against Penn State the first time around, he scored twice. The Lions have to know where he is every single time he touches the ice. They got to mark him and get rid of his space, or that lamp is going to go on.
Wisconsin scored 11 goals in the 2 games in the first series, and Guy Gadowski knows that Penn State's defense will be one of the main focus points in this series.
Hopefully a lot better. We still, regardless of what happens with Nate, we're still obviously would love to have Luke in lineup, but it doesn't matter to us. We have We have D-men that we feel have improved. So it's not that we're doing anything different. We're just doing it much better.
Penn State is going to have to match the offensive output of the Badgers, and one player they're going to look to do that is Curtis Lloyd. The sophomore has scored twice in his last 3 games, and Elise Murkowski caught up with him in this week's Player Profile.
I'm here with Curtis Lloyd, and Curtis, you've been on a bit of a hot streak lately, getting some goals. What's it been like for you, and what's been the key to your success?
I mean, just shooting the puck. Coach has been really harping on that for me. You know, shoot the puck and good things will happen. So that's what I've been trying to do, and it's been successful. So.
You've had a couple ups and downs this season. Right now you're in a big up. You're out with an injury. What's it been like being able to come back and play this well?
I mean, you just got to work at it every day. If you have to shoot extra pucks or, you know, do extra skate after practice, you do what you have to do to get back in the lineup. And when you're in the lineup, you have to, you know, prove yourself every day at practice and in the games. So, yeah, I mean, it's good to be back, and I'm excited for what's coming up here.
You guys are down to your last 2 weeks of home games. What's it like being in Pagula and playing here?
Oh, it's amazing. I think we have the best, best fans in the league. The Roar Zone is really coming along. There's a couple chirps going around on Twitter and between Michigan and Minnesota. So, it's good to see. It's good to see, and it gives us a lot of motivation to come out and try our best and try to prove to everyone that we belong in this league, and we're going to prosper one day. So,
thanks very much, Curtis.
Awesome.
Back to you guys.
Thanks, Elise. Coming up on the Blue Line, Darian Summers joins Mike on set to talk about what Penn State has to do this weekend as they prepare to face their 18th ranked opponent of the season in the Wisconsin Badgers. Don't go anywhere. The Blue Line will be right back.
That we just had a very good game against an extremely good team in a hard rink to play in a different ice surface, and we're hungry. I feel the guys are very hungry to duplicate that effort, if not even get better here at home.
And welcome back to the Blue Line here on WHVL. Joined now by Darian Summers from the Daily Collegian, covers the men's hockey team as their beat reporter. And Darian, you've been with the team all season. Where have you seen them progress the most so far this season with 2 series left to play?
So far, I've definitely seen them become more comfortable playing with each other. At the beginning of the season, they weren't really meshing well together with some of the newer guys on the team. So far now, especially on the defensive end, they're clicking on all cylinders, and they're close to winning a game just because of the way they've been playing together as a team. I mean, you'll look at the wins that they've had, and they truly played together as a team. So that's big. That's been the one big progression, over the past however many months, is that they've really just come together.
Now, they just got off a tough series against number 2 Minnesota, who's now ranked number 1, playing a lot of tough teams. And those games are close. They were within a striking distance of winning that game at the end. What does this team need to do to win more of those close games that they've not been able to do so far this season?
Right now, I don't know if they have it, and the answer would be a kind of a go-to guy, to put it in NHL terms, a Sidney Crosby, a guy that can close, a Steven Stamkos-like player that can shut down the game and put the puck on his stick and score. And occasionally we've seen that with Eric Scheid a little bit, and occasionally, throughout, Casey Bailey is starting to step up, but I haven't seen it yet from anybody consistently, and they need a consistent guy that can close the game out, and they don't have that right now.
2 home series left for Penn State. They'll be facing Wisconsin and Ohio State. What do you want to see from Penn State in these last 2 series to really have something good to lead into next year and really close the season pretty strong?
To be honest, it would be huge if they could get 1 win in each series, which is very doable against both teams. Wisconsin is very good, yes, but they're a very beatable team. Same with Ohio State. In fact, if Penn State, I see Ohio State losing at least 1 game, because I think Penn State, with the way they've been playing and the way that they've had this upward growth throughout the end of the season, that they could. I don't want to say make a run in the Big Ten tournament, but they can make some noise, especially if they can get at least 2 wins out of these Final 4 games.
You have 2 years left on campus. Penn State really growing as a program. They're basically only in their 2nd year as a Division I program. You get to see them develop along the way. What are you most looking forward to from Guy Godowski and his program as they continue to develop?
I'm honestly just looking forward to seeing how they develop, how they mature, and where they're at from this year and last year to next year and the year after that, and kind of looking back on these first 2 Division I years and saying, look at how much they've grown, because they will grow. There's no doubt about it. The players that they're going to bring in, some of the guys that they already have, they'll get more mature playing in Division I games. It's not easy playing in Division I. So once they kind of grow, once they kind of become, you know, older, more mature, it'll be huge, and I think they'll definitely grow. So I'm looking forward to that.
All right, thanks a lot, Darren. You can read all of his men's hockey news in the Daily Collegian, also on their website. You can also check him out on Twitter at Stuff Summer Says. At Stuff Summer Says. Thanks a lot. We'll send it to you, Andrew, with a look at the women's team.
Great stuff, Darian. The Penn State women saw their season come to a close last weekend at RIT in the first round of the CHA tournament. Penn State dropped a tough 3-2 game in overtime to the 3 seed. Then were shut out on Saturday's game to be eliminated from the competition. The Lions end their second varsity season with 4 wins, 29 losses, and 3 ties. Shannon Yoxheimer had the only goals for Penn State last weekend against RIT. The sophomore has 8 goals and 8 assists on the year, tied for second on the team in points with 16, behind fellow sophomore Hannon Hohenschel. And Elise Murkowski caught up with Shannon in this week's Player Profile.
I'm here with sophomore forward Shannon Yoxheimer. And Shannon, you had a big weekend, 2 goals. Unfortunately, you guys were kicked out in the first round of playoffs, but it was a really exciting weekend. What was that like for you?
It was a really awesome experience. You know, that first game was really exciting. It was really back and forth, and to go into overtime too, it was really, really exciting, and it was a really fun weekend for us. And obviously it didn't end the way that we had hoped, but it was a good weekend for the team.
You guys are a relatively young team, only your second season of Division I program. You're at a brand new arena. What have you enjoyed most of this season?
You know, I think just for us, it was a really, really big season with being in the rink with all those home games. So I think as a team and personally, really being in the rink this year, it was really one of the highlights of our season.
And you're only a sophomore. You have a lot more time left here at Penn State. What is your team looking forward to going into next season and beyond?
You know, I think we're just looking forward to just being able to improve every year, you know, because obviously we started out as a new program, and to just be able to build on it every year is really exciting for us.
And we talked a little bit off camera. You guys have only a short break. When do you guys get started and get ready for next season?
Yeah, you know, we have about 2 weeks off. So right after we get back from spring break, it's off-season time, and we'll be in the weight room and running with Mike. So we're all excited for that.
Thanks very much, Shannon. Back to you guys.
That puts a lid on the season this year for the Lady Lions. The young team will look to improve next season, but don't go anywhere because we'll tell you who's coming back for the men this weekend as Blue Line continues.
If we can see success against these two teams, they're very good teams. Obviously, it would give us confidence, even more confidence going into the tournament. So don't really want to think ahead that way. I think we're very confident that we've improved a lot, but to be able to have the results would mean a lot.
Welcome back to the Blue Line. You heard Coach Guy Godowski. Penn State's preparing for the final 2 home series of the season, but right now we'll take a look back at the top plays from the Minnesota series, starting with the Aaron's Amazing Save of the Week.
Game 1, Hudson Fashion behind the net, trying the wraparound, but Scoff says no, and here is Matt Shepard's call.
Still no whistle. Wraparound, tried twice, 3 times. Oh, and what a job down low by Penn State's defense. Mark Yanis saved the goal there.
Great work by Scoff and the D. Yanis, Goodwin, Bailey, Cowdice, and Holstrom all doing heavy work. Great effort to keep the score tied at that point.
And the Cove crunch of the week, we hate to show ones against Penn State, but take a look at this crunch. Gabe Gertler just gets Michael McDonough in the open ice and levels him. Clean hit, hands down, leading with the shoulder, and McDonough's tough. He was okay, but really hard to watch that blast. That's going to leave him sore for the next day. And actually, in Game 2, Kenny Brooks also had a good hit that you really liked.
Oh yeah, I loved it. It was a great hit. He's really brought the lumber since making that switch back to the defenseman. And he showed in Game 2 that, you know what, they weren't intimidated after what happened Friday night.
From there, we move on to the rest of the Big Ten. We take a look at the scoreboard from the Big Ten from the previous weekend. Wisconsin was off, and Penn State, dropped the series at Minnesota. Michigan State playing an exhibition, so Michigan and Ohio State, the only teams battling in conference. The Buckeyes took a shootout win on the road in Ann Arbor to start things off, but the Wolverines came back to win 4-3 in Game 2 down in Columbus.
that puts the standings like this. Minnesota creating some space at the top from Wisconsin with the wins. Michigan coming in third. Ohio State 3 points ahead of Michigan State for the fourth, and Penn State locked into that 6th seed right now.
Conference tourney coming up quick. Looking at this week, newly number 1 Minnesota goes to Ohio State. Michigan and Michigan State playing a home and away series on Friday and Saturday, and Wisconsin coming to Pagula. And for fans lucky enough to get tickets for Pagula this season, you might be wondering what the glass room on the concourse level is, and for that, we took a special look at the Mount Nittany Room in this week's Pagula Spotlight. Nestled in the University Drive corner of Pagula Ice Arena's concourse is the Mount Nittany Room, an area designed for lodge and on-the-glass seat holders before the game. The room serves as a place to relax with refreshments and snacks before games and during intermissions. The room also serves as a post-practice lunch stop for the team to replenish, and maybe the best feature of the space comes from the large windows and great view of the mountain in the distance from which the room gets its name. A look at the Nittany Health South Injury Board. Good news for Nate Jensen. He's skated this week, but still needs to be cleared, and it will be questionable for the weekend. Luke Uhas still out with his head injury, and Max Gardner still off the ice with his ankle injury. So it's been a long time since Penn State and Wisconsin played. A lot of things have changed. What do you see as a key coming in this series this weekend?
Well, I think the Lions have to have a short memory. They got to wipe that Friday night game out of their minds. They got to forget about Saturday out at Mariucci, losing that heartbreaker, in the 1-goal game. Defensively, tighten up, watch Michael Mersch. I know that's tough with the injuries they have, but they just got to focus. They'll be fine.
We'll see what Penn State can do. They take on Wisconsin Friday night at 7 and then again on Saturday at 7 o'clock. We'll have recaps of both those games next week, but that's all for the Blue Line this week. For Andrew Kalista, Mike Tressa, we'll see you guys next week.